27th, 2023, and welcome to your Rochester City Council. It is another frozen, snowy evening in Rochester. Madam Clerk, the roll call.
Vixen is absent. Salvia?
Here.
Albrecht?
Here.
Gould?
Here.
Peterson?
Here.
Sage?
Here.
Trent?
Here. All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, well, good evening again. I don't see anyone here in the chambers. Do we have any public comment on the line, Brian?
Hello, thank you. There are no comments.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we will move along to our scheduled presentation, which is some recognition for Finance Director Anthony Maggio on being an Oakland County Executive 40 under 40.
Nice.
So I have a proclamation here to read, and then Anthony, we're going to want you to come up and accept it and take a picture. And you may have just come off from your firefighting duties, because I know it's another busy day out there. So I will read the proclamation. Proclamation to recognize Anthony Maggio as a member of the 11th Oakland Together 40 under 40 class. Whereas Anthony Maggio has served as a member of the City of Rochester Fire Department for 20 years, responding to emergency incidents not only in his community, but throughout the state of Michigan. And whereas as the City of Rochester's Treasurer and Finance Director, Anthony persistently goes above and beyond his job responsibilities by seeking grants, embracing projects focusing on conservation, resource management, and pollution control. And whereas Anthony creates a nurturing work environment, encouraging all members to share ideas and initiatives in a positive, supportive environment in which the team performs at extremely elevated levels, all to the benefit of our community. And whereas Anthony also plays an active role in advising and educating treasurers and financial professionals as a board member of the Michigan Municipal Treasurers Association and Oakland County's Treasurers Association. And whereas the mayor, Stuart Bixen, applauds his dedication, hard work, passion, and commitment for the city of Rochester. And now, therefore, let it be proclaimed that this day, February 27, 2023, the mayor of the city of Rochester hereby proclaims and recognizes this tremendous achievement as Anthony Maggio is honored as a member of Oakland Together 40 under 40 class of 2023.
While you guys are going up there for a second, Lynn, you want to grab the picture? Can you do it? I just want to say a few things that, if you don't mind. I know we've tried this award. James Vitrano got the award a long, long time ago. I remember writing that application proudly. And Marcy and Christy and their whole team collaborated together on this. We've tried with other people in this organization over the last few years and haven't got there. So when we wrote this, it came from everybody's heart. Anthony's the epitome of a team player. We kid around, but after every meeting we're in, he says, go team, and he means go team. He is the epitome of having everybody's back. He's a good family man. He's a good husband. He tirelessly works. He's creative. He pushes us all the time, and it's a pleasure and an honor to have this young man on our staff, and I'm serious. It makes my job so much easier, especially with what's going on now, that you can't imagine. So I applaud him for everything he's done. He's got a long way to go. He's so young still. But we'll get him in 50 over 50 and 70 over 70 and everything else. So congratulations.
Here we go.
Okay. Let's do it one more time. Ready?
And I think this is being taped, even though I know Comcast isn't on right now, but people will be able to watch this on a replay, I believe so. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Council.
No, are you kidding? Thank you, Anthony.
We have a hand up there. Yep, I see it. And I did notice, Anthony, in the write-up for the 40 under 40, you were even recognized and written about specifically, and then you're going to be honored March 14th at the Oakland County State of the County.
And we're going to do something staff-wise, even though he doesn't want us to. We'll celebrate internally with him in the next week or so.
Excellent. Brian, I see a hand up.
Yep, I had a caller join.
Okay. Caller, would you like to make a public comment?
Yes, I would. I'm sorry. The timing on your Zoom is a little off. I tried to get in for public comments, but it wasn't close enough. Hi, this is Jane Turner on Parkdale.
Yes, good evening, Jane.
Anthony, good for you. I have a comment about last council meeting. There was an application for a Aston Martin Ferrari thing in the park,
Yes.
and there was no payment for that through the, now, excuse me, but if you're going to put all these cars in the park, how are they going to get there? Are they going to drive? So there'll be tire marks and everything else. Why wasn't there any charges applied to them?
City Manager, do you want to double check
Chief-
that?
Yeah, no, I think Chief Steve's going to know the answer.
Pardon me?
Chief Steve's coming up to the mic right now. Jane, I think he can answer it.
Yeah, the Italian happening has happened a number of times in the park, and along with a lot of events where we have vehicles that come into the park, a caution is taken to make sure that there is no damage. Had there been damage, then yes, if there were repairs that need to be made, that could be charged back to the event holder as we would in any other event. But at this point, in the past years and based on estimates, that has not been a concern.
And I might add that, Jane, that we only charge for staff time. So it's always cost neutral. So if they needed stuff from us, barricades or help or fixing things in the park, they get billed for that. But if there's no cost other than using the park, we don't charge to just rent the park.
But the Rock and Rods thing on Walnut, you charge them. They're using pavement
No, that's
cleanup.
Yep. No, that's because there's barricades involved and all kinds of different things that we have to go out and block off roads and things like that. Totally different. In the park, it's pretty easy once you get in.
But Arts and Apples has lots of foot traffic. You charge them.
Because they need our
Why is
services.
this any different? There's still going to be lots of foot traffic and litter and everything else. So why isn't, this is not a charity.
Again, if they use our services, we charge them. If they come in and clean their own trash and do everything properly, we don't charge anybody. It's only when they need our services. Rock and Rods, you have side streets that have to be barricaded, all kinds of different things. But in the park, these folks, as Chief had said, have been doing it for years. They've got it down. Art and Apples, we have a pre-meeting where they know how much we're going to charge them because they need our services, but not the case with the Italian happening.
Well, I don't happen to agree with that, but I don't have a choice. I just hope no one on the council is a part of Chrysler or any of their subsidiaries, or Chrysler is a subsidiary of them. Because that would be
Yeah, I'm
a
not,
conflict of interest.
yeah, I'm going to address that since my husband works for Stellantis, so I'm not really sure what that means. I mean, it's a club, so it is a nonprofit that is having an event in our park. So I don't think it has
But it's
anything
not
to
a
do.
charity.
Club.
Mr. Turner, thank you. This is Mark Albrecht speaking. I've gone to this event different years, and I know that they raise money and they donate to two charities at the end of the event. I think one of them is to for the Big Bright Light Show for the DDA, and another one is a charity they pick in the area. So is it Paint Creek?
Last year.
Oh, yeah, they pick it. So they've been a good partner with us. Yeah, I've gone and I've watched where the cars come in, and they come in so very slow in the back end and then park their cars, and, there's no burnouts or anything else like that. And we have a lot of events where there are cars in the park, but this one, like I said, I've gone to it three of the last, well, pre-COVID, and they've been a good partner with us and have raised money for local charities.
And what did you charge them in the past?
There have not been charges, as has been pointed out. Some of the other events that you talked to are quite labor-intensive for the city in the cases of signage, barricades and such. There's actually no, the only thing that could be charged to this event would be as if there was excessive trash. However, that has not been a problem where we've been referred back to that by DPW, that there was something excessive beyond what is normally in the park over the weekend. But there's no barricades, there's no.
But it does impede my right to go to the park.
Well, I think that can happen to any of the number of events that use the park throughout the year. It's a large park. It uses the, up by the Kiwanis Pavilion and Bandshell Upper Park area, the festival area we call it. But the remainder of the park remains open. Tot Lot remains open. The Kiwanis Pavilion, for that matter, has been rented out in conjunction with this event in the past. Bandshell is still open. So there's a number of parts of the park that remain open for use by the public.
So there's no charge to get in?
Charge on behalf of, to attend the event?
No.
No.
No,
No.
there is no charge to attend the event.
Is there anything else?
I'm not happy.
Is there anything else?
I object. Other than my objection, no, thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we have any other callers?
I think some council people had something they wanted to say.
Council,
There are
any
none.
other comments?
No, I'm glad that Nick brought up that James had also received this award. So I'm just curious, of our neighboring communities, how many people from their administrations have been nominated? We have two now.
Yeah, and Paint Creek Center for the Arts, Sean got the award this year, which we were very proud for him. I sent him a note, and I know a couple, I think Pam Valentic and Sarah Rodinger might have gotten it in, well-deserved in Rochester Hills, but it's not easy to get. I mean, there's 279 applicants this year alone.
Wow.
So that's, I remember he came down and showed me, like, who did this? And it's like, sorry, Anthony, take that. So it was very exciting.
Excellent. All right, any other comments, council? All right, moving on our agenda, we have the approval of the minutes, consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting, February 13th, 2023.
So moved.
Support?
Motion by Peterson, support by Sage. Roll call.
Salvia,
Yes.
Albrecht,
Yes.
Gould,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Excellent. Moving on to the consent agenda, we have 4 items on the consent agenda. We have approval of police department vehicles for purchase for the 2022-2023 budget year. This is replacement of 3 vehicles using state and county competitive bids totaling $133,700. Item B, consideration of a special event application for the PSD to hold Movies in the Moonlight in the Farmers Market. So mark your calendars, July 15th, 22nd, 29th, and August 5th. Consideration of a special event application from the Rochester Lions Club to hold Rock and Rod's Car Show on Sunday, August 13th on Walnut Street. And item D, the current 2023 special event calendar.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Support.
Motion by Peterson, support by Albrecht. Madam Clerk.
Salvia,
Yes.
Albrecht,
Yes.
Gould,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Excellent. We have no public hearings. We have 1 legislative deliberation. This is the consideration of a First Amendment to the employment agreement for the city manager, city attorney Jeff Crott.
Yes, thank you. Before you, consideration is a proposed amendment to the employment agreement for City Manager Banda, who, his current agreement is dated September 26, 2022, and in that agreement, there was a termination or end date of August 31, 2023. At this time, I was asked to prepare a First Amendment, and the purpose of the amendment is to remove the end date Obviously, the employment agreement, which I also included in the packet, everything remains at will. He can leave whenever he wants to. City council can part ways with him if it wants to. But this does, by removing the end date, it just doesn't have a set end date. There was also a question asked, since that was put in the agenda, as to a request to add an item to amend paragraph 19. So the one we're talking about is paragraph 22. The only change in that paragraph 22 is to change that, but paragraph 19, which paragraph 19 is one that is in the typical city manager agreement. It's regarding performance evaluation. Right now, it says that city council may review and evaluate the performance of the employee during the term of the agreement at its discretion, and so forth. The request to consideration for tonight is to add an amendment to that, to say that city council will review and evaluate, and more specifically, tying it to the anticipated date, or the one that's in the now of August. So August to August would be a 1 year. So the idea would be to have, just so it gets on the calendar, everyone is aware that there's going to be a review. Instead of leaving it to city council discretion, is to actually put it so it happens during the month of August. So that would be a requested addition to what you see before you. And if I could, I know you don't have it in front of you because I just prepared it, but it says, it essentially removes the existing paragraph 19, and it says replaced with the following, and if I may, Mayor Pro Tem. City council will review and evaluate the performance of the employee in August of each year of this agreement. Said review and evaluation shall be in writing and in accordance with the specific criteria developed by city council and the employee. That last sentence is already in his agreement, so it's only adding the will review instead of may review at its discretion. So if city council wants to move forward with the originally proposed First Amendment or the one with that added change, then that would be the requested action, is to approve that and authorize the mayor and the clerk to sign that.
Mark has his hand up.
Councilmember Albrecht.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Salvia. You know, we were pleasantly surprised, to have Nick say he was going to delay his retirement and stay on. And, you know, I've said this publicly, I've said this to Nick privately, he's the epitome of a public servant. I mean, it's in his genes, it's in his blood. I think his father did the same kind of thing. And to do this selfless act to just delay his retirement to stay on, I think speaks volumes of him as the man and him as the person, and him as city manager. So I think we're blessed to be able to have him stay on until he's tired of us or we're tired of him. Hope neither of those happen in the near future. So I would like to support the motion made by in the memorandum to proceed with the First Amendment to the employment agreement, with the change of paragraph 19 that this City Attorney Crott added and just read to us, and to approve the First Amendment and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign on behalf of the city.
So a motion by Albrecht,
Support.
support by Gould. Any discussion on the motion? Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So, City Attorney, regarding the performance evaluation, how do you view the word will with shall? So, I mean, I'm sorry, I want to know.
There's
So-
always one in the group.
Yep, and I'll be that one, so let me preface this real quick. So, there was a change made in a past city manager's contract where it took this information out, okay? And I think it left us without having true options, and that's why I think it's good that it goes back in. But the shall means we will have to do a review, okay? Whether it's simple or we all agree that we did it and it's done, right? But I think if we leave will in there, and this is nothing regarding city manager band at the moment, this is regarding future. So I don't want to leave our city, if we end up with new council up here, seeing that there was precedent set at one point in time, right? So I'd really like to see that we stay within every year, just do the review, extend the contract another year, however long. I think it would be better suited for us to do so, and with the word shall.
If I may. So I actually had the word shall and I deleted it. And the reason I put will in here is there's an undercurrent, and again, we've talked about this at city council, where shall sometimes is construed as to not being mandatory.
Right.
And so the preferred word in those analysis is will.
So we will do it.
Correct. So it's actually stronger than shall.
Okay. All right.
So I appreciate, and again, I don't agree with it. I think shall it sounds better, but based on what I've read, and there's an undercurrent of shall, what does that mean? I tried to avoid that by just saying will.
No, that's fine. Okay.
So that was intentional, and I appreciate your, because we
Good
tried to make it,
clarification.
remove it from discretion to mandatory.
No, that's
Yeah.
fine, and I appreciate that clarification. So, if I may, okay, so does that mean we can then keep the year-end contract date, just go year to year in the contract as well? So every year, 'cause and there's two things. One, I think that it was, needs to be omitted as under 26. The second to last before this last statement, it says employees shall be covered by all applicable insurance coverage. That's actually changed because it's been waived. So I think that should actually come out, otherwise we'll have to do both. So, I don't know, I just think that was because it was how the past one was.
If I appreciate what you're saying. There are some insurances that he'd be covered by
Oh,
that
so it's
don't
not
include
just-
medical.
Okay,
So I think if Mr. Bandit is okay with it, because he doesn't take the city's health insurance now.
Right.
He has an alternate arrangement. So but I wouldn't want to take out that because it would, liability insurance and
life
life
and
insurance.
health, okay, not a problem, that's good, okay. All right.
Good comment, though.
Anything else, Councilmember Peterson?
No, I think that covers it.
Okay, good. Councilmember Sage?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just for clarification, so we'll review annually and will be in writing to be more specific to that. And then also clarification on paragraph 22, that the annual term has been eliminated and it is now up to us or Mr. Banda to part ways. Correct?
Correct, yep, how it would read now in paragraph 22 is that it just lists an effective date, and it continues on until either party gives 30 days' notice.
Very good.
Well, then, Mayor Pro Tem,
Councilmember Peterson?
thank you. I was like, okay, so this is where I have the issue, okay? I don't think that does not, and this will put us back, if we end up with somebody else here, and whether or not, and if this is the last contract that we send to somebody coming in new after this city manager leaves, we are going to end up with the same situation we had last time, okay? And I think that without having an actual end date in there every year, or however, I think every year, because if they're going to stay on, they're going to stay on, and we're going to know, and we're just going to go through the motions and the process. I think by leaving this out, we are left to have issues like we had in the past, and I really don't want to see anybody in this administration, employees, et cetera, have to go through that.
City Attorney, isn't this a specific agreement for this specific city manager?
Yeah, yes, this agreement is a deviation from to some extent, the current, the previous city managers, whether it's City Manager Trano or Mr. Wing, or I don't know if it went before James, but I would say that this would not be the template that is used for the next one, because this is this is meant to be a shorter term situation than a longer term. So the form that Labor Council, and of course I would go through, would be the previous one. But it all depends, because if there's a severance, we took out severance pay from this one, where that would be going back in well, I'm not gonna say what, a new city manager would require. But frequently, there's severance provisions that would normally happen, and then that would link to end dates. So, for instance, the previous city manager did have an end date, which you're talking about, and that was removed, which then made the severance period of time continue as a rolling requirement versus letting a contract run out. So if there's an offer made to a new city manager someday, that contract would have a particular end date and likely a severance tied to that. So this wouldn't, the current agreement wouldn't be the template that would be used, in my opinion. So if you put an end date in there, you can do that, and that's fine, but then it would just, you would have to make a determination each time to have it continue. And it's at will, so you don't run into
Councilman
have
Peterson?
rolling one-year periods.
No, and I appreciate that, and I understand that because we had discussed this earlier. However, I do feel that to protect us here on council as well, to actually know we have those options, because we don't know what holds in the future, this would be great to have a precedent set that there was a contract date at all times with anyone that we did, and we don't deviate from that. So in the future, anybody coming in will know that no matter what, you're going to have an end date to where we're going to review you each year and then just say, okay, move on to your next year until you decide, the city manager decides they don't want to work anymore.
Right, so in this situation, my understanding of it is basically he's an at-will employee. So
All of them
within
were.
30 days, 4 votes, city manager's out. So there is no, I don't see a need for a specific end date, because it's 30 days, 4 votes.
But it didn't happen last time that way. It didn't happen that way because we did not do timely reviews of the city manager at that time. So without those, that kind of went to the wayside, to where we didn't. And so I just don't want us in that position again. And I would just really like council to really acknowledge the fact that we need to protect us as well as the city manager and the employees from having that ever happen again.
Okay, Councilmember Trent?
Yeah, I don't know if this is two different things. If you're saying we can end this agreement with a 30-day notice, right?
Yep.
Okay, so if, city manager Banda wants to move on, does that mean he gives us a 30-day notice or
Yep.
a 6 month? So that would be difficult to find a replacement in 30 days, if that's the way it would
How you fix that?
work. I don't know how to
Except
fix
I wouldn't
that.
do that, but-
Because being a business owner, I really appreciated my 6 months notice I got one time. And then my 2.5 week wasn't quite as pleasant. Just saying.
Mayor Pro Tem, since these are at will, you really can't require, you really can't even require 30 days.
I
mean,
see.
he could leave tomorrow. It's at will. We could say you're gone tomorrow.
That's what I
This is a
understand.
contractual, you can give more than 30 days notice. And knowing the guy to my left, then my guess is it's going to work out fine as far as notice goes, and time to transition. So, but you can't really have a hard, long-term requirement, but yet at will at the same time. It's kind of
I see.
there's a
That's what
rub there.
I wanted to
So,
understand.
so
Thank you.
for my part, and I will also add a comment from the mayor. Obviously, he is not here this evening. He's not feeling well. The mayor is in support of this agreement. He wanted to make sure that if he were here, he would vote for it. Any other discussion on the motion that's on the floor? Madam Clerk, the roll call, please.
Salvia,
Yes.
Albrecht,
Yes.
Gould,
Yes.
Peterson. Peterson?
No, I really have concern by not having a date, so.
We need a vote, yes or no?
All right, yes, but don't want to.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
I'd really like to understand why we would not put an end date to a contract, because all contracts should have them. city manager has no problem with having an end date in there, and then we just go through the motions. So I don't know why that we couldn't have just done that. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm not going through it again, and I will make sure that if anything ever happens in the future with any city manager, it's going to be very public, and it will not be private anymore. Because this is what got us where we were last time.
Well, I think it's very good that we added the language around the annual reviews. I think that's very important. Okay, moving on to reports and regular business. Receipt of the check register reports. Any questions, comments on the check register reports? I don't see a date on the agenda for those.
It's 2/16.
2/16. Okay. All right, moving on to reports from boards and commissions, starting with a report from Rochester Area Recreation Authority. Councilmember Albrecht.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Salvia. We met on February 15th. I was not at the meeting, but I am going to give you the notes that I received from the meeting. We have not finalized the year-end results, but we anticipate adding $320,000 to the fund balance, bringing us almost to $1 million. With that, we are looking at a 3-year plan for improvements at RAH. Some of those will include remodel of the lobby, redesigning the indoor playground, which is showing its age, installing automatic ADA doors on the exterior, vestibule and bathroom doors. We have to look at the parking lot and outdoor lighting system at some point in time, and covered awning for the entryway, and some interior lighting, furniture, and entertainment features. Again, I don't have when's going to be done in year 1, 2, or 3. This is sort of the CapEx wish list from the board. We have hired an assistant director for, just as a reminder, Dave Word was made executive recreation director several months ago. We went through, posted the job, had several rounds of interviews. 3 candidates came in for final interviews. As part of the HR committee, we were able to look at the candidates. They were able to ask us questions, and we were able to formulate some questions. So joining us will be Samuel Lunt. He has a master's degree in Parks and Recreation from Central Michigan, Fire Up Chips. He has my daughter and all my money went there, so I can say that. He has experience in both the private and public sector recreation industries, and he will start on Wednesday, on March 1st. We have also focused a lot on professional development and certifications for all of the staff, and so 3 of our staff members, Dave Word, Lindsay, and Michaela, are now National Recreation Parks Association certified professionals. 2 of our newer people that we brought in, Jake and Matt, are now certified youth sports administrators, and we continue to put emphasis on professional development going forward for everybody. And last but not least, we had several months ago, I had gone to Chief Cieslak to say, how can we get on this pancake breakfast rotation? And I put him and Dave Word together, and Sunday, March 12th, we are having a rah-rah, not rah-yah. So you got your pancake breakfast, Marilyn. This is mine.
Just one alphabetical letter difference.
It's okay. That's all. They're both good organizations. Yes. So it'll be on the fire station. It'll be at the fire station Sunday, March 12th.
Okay.
Proceeds will be used for scholarship money, allowing families who are having financial hardships to participate in many programs with some offset or covering the cost fully.
Time?
I don't have the time. I imagine it'll be the normal 8 to 11.
Till 11.
Okay. Our 40 under 40 just gave me the time.
All right, I'll be there.
It didn't say in your proclamation that you're also a pancake chef, so I think we need to redo that, Mayor Pro Tem. That's it.
All right, thank you. How about a receipt from the report from the Paint Creek Trailways? Councilmember Sage.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Couple items. First being the trail did a survey review and did confirm that the fuel shed on the Dillman and Upton property does violate their license agreement regarding flammable materials. So they are going to send a very polite letter to Dillman and Upton for relocation of said shed. back onto their property and off of the trails property. They will also politely decline Dillman and Upton's offer on the fence wall proposal and would support a natural solution to the demarcation of the property line. The second would be the southeast Rochester property. Some good news here, actually. We did get some ruling from Eagle that they would consider a project in the floodplain, whereas before it was completely out. Now it's back on. There will be some requirements associated to that. So we're going to move forward with AEW and pay them to provide us a preliminary cost estimate for the project's scope of work. So we might get a project there on that property. That's it.
Okay, excellent. All right, moving on to, I don't see any other public comment. Brian, am I missing anybody?
No, I think you're all set.
Okay. All right, general miscellaneous. Clerk O'Connor, anything for us?
Nothing this evening, Your Honor. Thank you.
City manager.
Just a couple things. Thank you. I'm excited to stay here. The team is so great. This is going to be a good ride. We're in for, I think, a really awesome few years here together. And you can't get better than this whole team, to be honest with you. So I'm very excited to do that. I just want to make sure the whole public knows that we're all in. My staff's going to hold me accountable. I'll hold them accountable. You'll hold me accountable in writing in August. I didn't get that. So we're headed down a great track, I believe. Kudos to you, Mayor Pro Tem, today. And first, Marcy, thank you for the program that you put together, the slideshow that helped out a lot with our graphics for the Outlook breakfast this morning that we had. Mayor Pro Tem stepped in, and she not only had to do an impromptu for her, a press conference, but then stand up against Mayor Barnett, which is not easy. And she held her own. But, it was, I think Brian put it best when he said, it's so nice to see 3 communities in the school board all rolling in the same direction, right? And he pointed out, he's been around. He's seen communities that don't get along when he's being the mayor of all mayors. He's been in many situations where it wasn't like was today. And to see the whole community rally around each other and be able to get around, but get down to business and celebrate together, that was amazing. You did a great job. Your energy was spot on. Your comments, you held your own against Brain. And it actually loosened Dr. Shaner up, quite frankly. And I know he needs that once in a while, right?
Yeah.
So it was really nice to see that, and all the staff that attended and stuff. So good job on your part. We appreciate it. You represented Rochester very well.
Thank you. City Attorney?
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Gould? The
Thank
power's
you.
back on?
Power's back on. I'm happy about that. I think my whole family is. I would just extend a thank you to DPW and the city personnel for absolutely outstanding work getting those roads cleared and all the tree and debris moved to the side. That was amazing how fast that was done. I'm not going to comment on DTE in particular, but I've been very happy with the city, the police. I had a big fire in my backyard. The fire department was out there at 1:30 in the morning, minutes after calling, so outstanding. And congratulations to Anthony, congratulations to Nick. I was actually taking my dog to the park, was it Bloomer Park? On the way to where that house fire was on First. South Street. That was absolutely amazing to see, but again, to the report, the communication, the city's efforts, it just makes me very proud. Thank you very much for all your work.
Nice, thank you, thank you. Councilmember Sage?
Nothing this evening.
Councilmember Albrecht?
I just wanted to echo Nick's comments. You did a great job, especially getting a call on Sunday night. And I would not have known from how you were talking. You were very rarely referring to notes, and you were talking from the heart. So thank you for representing Rochester so very well. So that's the good thing. The bad thing, not about you, Nancy, is DTE. I know I talked to Nick, and I know we're going to hear this was a storm of, tremendous proportions and everything else. But we never seem to, Rochester, downtown Rochester, I feel for the businesses. I open up my social media, and Meeting House is closed, Cheese Ladies are closed, all chamber office is still closed this morning. That's unacceptable for these businesses. Driving to the community breakfast, there was still a major traffic light out at Brewster and University. And that's an accident waiting to happen on a busy thoroughfare where the speed limit there is 40 or 45 miles an hour. So I know at the last meeting I asked we had some questions, and they were supposed to come back with a report of how many outages we've had and things of that sort. So I saw in my city council email the template announcement each of us got, which if you read the first day, it was the same announcement the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day. So I wouldn't even forwarded that to, residents. Now, I was impacted by the last power outage, but I wasn't for this power outage. But for all of those people that are suffering, it's a shame. And I know the Michigan Council, the state is also looking at DTE and consumers' energy because these are going on much too often. But I do want them to come back to City Council. I do want them to follow up on what they said last meeting, and I'd like a report on this meeting as to where Rochester is in the priority, because I always feel that our downtown is on a list of 5, number 6. So that's not fair to our residents, that's not fair to our business owners, that's not fair to the people who frequent our downtown. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Yes, I think many people echo your thoughts and comments. Councilmember Trent.
Yes, a couple of things I'll just add on. Yes, I agree, Mark.
You were out too.
I was out too, yes. Day 3 was becoming to be brutal. But yes, go all the way back to the South Street, the fire on South Street. I think the Rochester Post did a really nice job of explaining how that happened and and how well our fire department did. And I think that was very well contained, and it looked like it was quite a fire that happened quickly. And congratulations to Anthony Maggio, 40 under 40. That is I know that it's a rigorous application process. I know of that. Again, I'd like to thank Mayor Bixson for committing to the Mayor's Monarch Pledge again. I know that, people have heard about this a lot, but I do appreciate it. It is a yearly commitment, and it's more than just saving the monarch butterfly. As we know, it's keeping our gardens beautiful through native plantings and our community involved with that, and I appreciate that. Nancy, you did a great, Mayor Pro Tem, you did an excellent job. I will pile on to that. Very, very impressive. And I think that's it. I had a lot of thank yous this time. Next.
Marilyn, what about one of the 4 in the country?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. We will try again, but for 2022, City of Rochester is the only monarch champion city in Michigan, and one of 4 in the nation that is designated by the National Wildlife Federation, because you have to do 24 projects or actions. We've committed to 12, but I don't know, maybe by June or July we'll try to do it again. Maybe we will, but that's our designation, and it's really proud to have that. And my committee and the volunteers have worked really hard to get that done.
Great. Thank you so much, Marilyn. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Peterson.
Yeah, so first, I do want to congratulate Anthony Maggio for that tremendous honor. Thank the city for a wonderful community outlook today. I think that was we were very impressive. And Nancy, you did a very good job with that. It was something to be proud of, to be around here in these 3 communities working together, and hopefully we will continue. I do have a question for city administration. Do we have a no burn ban in the city? Are you allowed to burn on your property?
You are not allowed to burn on your property.
Okay, I was just curious. Okay.
We've tried to get Councilmember Gould, but he said it wasn't his fault.
No, I didn't know.
I thought you were going
No.
Couldn't resist.
No. But I do want to make a comment. I do want to thank all of our first responders and our DPW and everybody who did work hard during the storm. I also want to I'm going to thank DTE and the linemen who've had to go work through this because they've been working almost nonstop around the clock. My son's one of them. So I do know that DTE has had their hands full throughout the whole entire Metro Detroit area. So, and they have been finding that a lot of the biggest issues that they had have been trees in people's backyards that have caused a lot of that, and it's been really hard to find the cause. So to all of those who've had to work through those conditions outside, which was not easy either, even all our first responders, I mean, I thank you very much. So, and look forward to hopefully, I had a question that didn't get asked today when you were all up there on stage, because my concern is, you know, after the ice storm that we just had, you know, what are we going to do to really have true sustainability, right? What are options we can look at forward thinking to protect us in the future from these things? You know, is it underground? I mean, and I don't know, what's the difference of going underground to being above ground? Is there a health hazard? Does it change anything? I don't know those. But what are we going to really do to try to find true sustainability? Because to me, that is something that we can't afford, because we have a very aging population in all of Oakland County. And I think that that's something that has to be top of mind moving forward to make sure that they're protected in any type of outage. But I do, you know, it's pretty scary. So hopefully that we can work with our legislators on really having them change their thinking into figuring this one out. So.
Mayor Pro Tem, if I may, it's good timing on the question. So, a house next door to me was being remodeled. So, by code, it says you will, even though it's an existing home and they added onto it, Randy's all over the state. It's like, call Edison. They had to work through me because they had to get through my yard, and I let them bore under my yard to put it underground because it was going across my patio. And it almost lit my garage on fire when they took down the wires. So we do that on individual houses, right? Even on a remodel, we tell them to put it underground, which helps a bit. But we got an interesting call about 2 weeks ago from Jennifer Whitaker and her team saying, hey, because the more redundancy we can provide in this town, we'll be better. And there's one circuit that goes from, if you can picture by the Rah-Rah building, down there. There's a temporary pole in the summer when we lost power. They put up a big pole right by the fire station, then ran it back to the substation up on Main. So they said, hey, we want to come in and put, it's an existing underground line that's the oldest one in the city, and it's getting water in it. Not reliable, so we want to redo it. So they came back, and we're having a meeting a week. It was supposed to be the day of the storm, so they pushed it back to this week. They came back, and their solution was, we're going to run a new overhead wire from that station all the way down and trace the underground. And we talked about it at staff, and it's like, nothing's going overhead unless they can force us to do that. And I'm going to use this as an example. It was the trees. We had so many, the mayor called me one night and he said that the neighbors are blaming the tree committee because we're too protective of our trees. And he explained to them, you can't, we don't say you can't take trees down. We do not stop Edison from severely cutting back those wires. We let them do whatever they have to do to clear the easement. But this is a tree city. We're proud of our canopy. We love the air that the oxygen that all the trees create, but it comes with the peril of things like this. And I stopped, I don't know how many crews saying, thanks, I have a friend that works on those lines too, and it's a brutal job. But again, we're gonna make sure Edison doesn't set us up for more problems. The more they're in the air, the more chances they can't control an ice storm, right? So that was number one. Number two, I wanted to tell you that last Friday I was invited, I think a lot of folks were, but I went to John James, our new congressman. Mm-hmm. Yep, his swearing in Macomb Community College. So it was very Macomb. I didn't know anybody. For me, that's pretty unusual. Until I saw one guy, was Dave Sobel. And Dave Sobel, I was on the Royal Park Advisory Board with him, and he is a big fan of John James. Has known him a long time. So he set up, we kind of went off to the side, and I was thoroughly impressed with the man's knowledge. When he accepted his speech, they had all the heavy hitters from Macomb there. So it was Candace Miller and the sheriff and even the pastor that spoke. People think very highly of him. When he spoke, it was incredible. He took the time to pull me aside and said, hey, you're the development guy too, right? Yep. I'm coming to see you because I've got stuff that I know from my past I can bring to downtown Rochester. There's a place that wants to take an old theater and remodel it. And he could have just said that, Today I got a text and he set a time to meet a week from Friday for
Wow.
us. So I told him we're going to bring in, have him come in so he can talk to everybody here. Did the same thing with Mr. Weber, even though Mr. Weber knows us, obviously. We touched base again today at the Outlook breakfast, and he's going to get on our schedule to come here and talk to us so we can tell them what we need from them, and we'll do the same for Mr. Tisdale. So we're following up with all three of them, but I tell you, the speech that John James gave was amazing. He draws on his background from being a Marine and everything he's done. It was impressive, and I think he's an advocate. He spoke highly of Rochester. Rochester Hills, not just Macomb. He said, I know who elected me, and I'm here for you. So off to a good start. So I'll bring him in here so we can all spend some time with him. And I think you guys will be thoroughly enjoy with all of our reps. I think we've got, in Congressman, we've got a good team that we can fight for to get additional dollars, of course, out of them to help us with some of the things that we need to do.
Grant projects.
Exactly. Thank you.
And just one more
Great.
thing.
Yes.
Okay, so one thing that I think, I don't know about anybody else, but Sunday morning, it's like, where in the world and who's putting up all these wires on our poles? Because it looks horrible. And these are all cable lines, right?
Yeah, fiber.
And even down through the alleys, it's a mess back there. And you wonder why our power goes out, because you have all this excess lines. These cable lines now are so huge, they are weighing down, and you can see it especially on Wilcox. You're seeing, the poles, those are being strung so far, and any added ice is going to take them down, which will take down the power too.
Yeah, the Metro Act is brutal for us. It's like we lose control. It's like home rule is gone for all these people. I want to put a fiber line up. They're spending millions of dollars, and what customers are they getting? We sit down and we put them through the ringer. I know Anthony and Marcia and I sit down with them, and the chief does, and Randy does. Like, we forced some to go underground because but then the one that's going through downtown now, they're tearing everything up.
yeah.
But we have a bond. Jason Dickinson takes a picture of every single hole they dig. And we're going to make sure in the spring it's sod that's put back there, fix the irrigation, because they can do what they want because of this Metro Act. It's crazy how much latitude it gives them to do what they want, where they want. But we do our best to hold them down, but they have to test poles when it gets to that point, when you can see some of the poles sagging. So then Randy goes out and makes sure they have to do a geotechnical report on the soil stability under the pole before they can put another one up. That's why you saw about 30 poles going up in town in the fall. Those were all in prep for them to switch out some of these ones that the lower lines, not the power lines, are what's
Right.
stressing these poles out. So it's not just here, it's everywhere. They get to do what they want. It's horrible.
No, but I think that's where our legislators need to step up and
Yeah,
say,
maybe.
because what they're causing is a lot of grief. And it makes it ugly, too.
Thank you. So I'm gonna pile on my many thanks. I also had kind of the same list of thanks. It's obviously top of mind. Congratulations, Director Maggio. Today's Outlook event was, it was a great event. It just reinforced all the reasons why we love being a part of Rochester. And Brian's comment about how well we all work together and how, just how special that is, that the communities just all blend and work together. It's wonderful. It really is part of our very unique DNA. And so thank you to Marcy for putting together the slides. The mayor felt absolutely terrible that he couldn't do it, and I don't even think he's ever missed a city council meeting. This may be his first one ever. He's probably watching, so I know he felt terrible, but, you can't plan when you don't feel well. What else did I want, who else did I want to thank? Did I thank everyone? Well, our first responders, I was thinking about you with all the wires down, and so just thank you to everyone. I did think we really wanted to wrap this meeting up before 8.
Oh, look at you.
So if there is nothing else, meeting adjourned. Done.
So you said-